Hello, everyone. This is Amanda from Equilibria, and we are going to talk about, actually, we're going to have a live dosage call tonight on this webinar, and then we're going to be taking your questions in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Amanda, for that intro. Just to introduce myself, hello, everyone. My name is Autumn. I'm the Senior Manager of the Member Education team at Equilibria. I help to manage all of the amazing dosage specialists that y'all speak with each and every day. So tonight, it's really going to be your opportunity to get a sneak peek at what these dosage calls are like. I hope that it's encouraging for y'all. I hope that it helps kind of illuminate the mystery of the call and helps you better prepare for whenever you're ready for your call. And tonight I'm going to be speaking with Kellie. Kellie, would you like to say hi?
Hi, I'm Kellie Overton. I work on the creative team at Equilibria. I'm the volunteer guinea pig and in desperate need of a dosage call after being off CBD for a while. So I'm really excited and a little nervous to see where tonight takes us.
Well, thank you again, everybody, for joining us tonight. And thank you, Kellie, for being here with me tonight and for being vulnerable to your community and just really helping to explain really what a dosage call means to everyone. Is there anything else that we want to say before we dive in? She's like, no, I'm ready. Help me.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm so excited.
Awesome. Well, just to kind of give context for everyone that's watching right now and just to kind of help everybody kind of understand what this flow is going to be like, I am going to go ahead and do just a proper introduction to make sure that everybody understands who I am and how I can help. So just a little bit about me. My name is Autumn. I am a CBD educator with Equilibria. I am not, however, a medical professional. We always encourage every single person at Equilibria to include their doctor or their healthcare professional in this conversation. It's always great to know whenever you've added or subtracted something from your wellness routine. And on the dosage team, no one here is a commissioned salesperson. So everybody who is here truly is an educator who our purpose is to help you understand your products, help you build a great routine, help guide you along this journey, however long or short that is with us. We're here for you every single step of the way. So with that said, I always want to start these calls out by hearing a little bit more about the members. So Kellie, I wonder if you could just kind of give me a brief overview of what brings you to this conversation today. What's your history with CBD, and what are you hoping to get out of this call today?
Oh my God. Okay. Well, how much time do you have is really where I'm at.
On these calls about 20 to 30 minutes, but thank you for asking.
All right, 20, 30 minutes. I will time box myself. Well, let's see where to start. So I started CBD about 2.5 years ago. And I actually started with Equilibria, and I was on an extra strength routine with daily drops. So I would take a full dropper in the morning. And that's after starting on regular strength for a little while. I built up to that pretty quickly. We realized with my dosage specialist at the time that that's where I needed to be. And it was wonderful and it helped with a lot of things, but my life has changed so much since 2.5 years ago. I stopped taking the CBD when I was working with my OBGYN to try to get pregnant. At first I was taking it and then things weren't working. So we stopped because I was going to start IVF and we just wanted clean slate of everything. So I went through IVF and then I luckily became pregnant. I now have a beautiful, healthy baby boy. But you know, IVF, pregnancy, and then a C-section, and it's now I'm a new mom, and then I just moved to a new state, and there's just a lot going on and that has been going on pretty consistently. So I feel like I've just kind of been up here for like 2 years straight. So that's really why I'm here, is because now I've stopped breastfeeding. I just established a new like general physician here in Wisconsin where I live. And I really want to get back in the swing of things with CBD, and I'm very, very ready to take here, maybe back down to here a little bit on a regular basis.
I'm just going to throw it out there, Kellie. You sound like so many of our members, honestly. you're just not alone in this, and that's just a fact. There's so many of our members who are going through such similar situations. And one of the reasons why CBD and women are a particularly perfect pair is because CBD helps to kind of mimic the molecule in your body that helps to regulate your stress hormones.
Yeah.
That's just one of its many functions, but you have this system in your body that helps you to kind of like stay at a baseline homeostasis. And specifically our stress, cortisol, adrenaline, that can kind of damage the system. So you can imagine women who have 12 periods a year, throw in a couple pregnancies, childbirth, postpartum, breastfeeding, etc. And then later on in life, we have perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. It just like the stress on our body never stops. And so because CBD kind of mimics this molecule that helps to regulate homeostasis and kind of keep us at balance and keep that cortisol and adrenaline at appropriate levels, it can be, especially for new moms, a really important tool to add into their routine to just kind of, like you said, kind of bring the mental clutter back down to a little bit quieter level. Yeah.
Well, I love that you brought up 12 menstrual cycles a year, because let me tell you what is not fun after you have a baby.
Tell me.
Are your periods. Mine suck. They're so bad. Yeah, it's like, they're just horrible. They're long, they're painful, they're really terrible. So I never really in the past like felt like I needed to do anything different with my routine around that, but I would love your advice on what to do for that, because whew, those are a doozy as well.
Yeah.
So many things are different after you have a baby, I tell you what.
Well, it's like you took the jigsaw puzzle, you put it back in the box, and now it's like time to put the puzzle back together again here.
Yeah, and like every month someone just like takes the jigsaw puzzle that's your uterus and like shakes it, and yeah,
I hear you. Yeah. CBD is the thing that helps to kind of like catch all of those crazy falling pieces everywhere and keep everything whole and together and happy.
Even
so
if it catches a couple, that would make a huge difference.
Next thing we'll do is an EQ puzzle. Well, okay. So Kellie, thank you for sharing that. That's a really important piece of information for me to know. So just to kind of get started here, let me pull up a couple of my notes. I am going to be taking notes during this. And then after the call, what I'll do is I'll kind of put all of my notes together into an email for you so that you can have everything like right at your fingertips. I'll put your routine in there, my information, so that you can have another call with me. And the email that I send this from is my direct email. So if you reply to that, you're going to get me. So we can stay connected, stay together. If you have questions, need to adjust, I'm here for you.
Amazing.
So, I did notice on your intake form that you volunteered some information about your medication that you're taking. So thank you for adding that in there. Again, we always really do recommend that you check in with your healthcare professional regarding your medications and CBD use before incorporating that into your routine. It sounds like you're on that track. And so with that said, what I can offer is that there might be a potential interaction between your medication and CBD. It's possible that CBD might increase the levels of effect of your medication, which means it might also amplify the side effects of your medication. This is not in any way a comprehensive picture of what that looks like. It's not intended to act as a substitute for medical advice. We really do recommend that you speak to your doctor, your licensed healthcare professional, and discuss your medications and the use of CBD together. And if you have any further questions or if you need any further support, we do have a pharmacy team at EQ, and I'm more than happy to send you their information. They can connect and further educate you, send you some information that you can use with your conversation with your doctor, whatever we can do to help.
Okay, that's awesome. I saw my doctor last week and I made her aware that I would be starting this back up again. So thanks for like reinforcing that, because I thought that might be the case, but I'll definitely like take what we talk about to her.
Great.
And make sure everything is, because I'm hoping some of the medication that I'm on, particularly for postpartum depression, I can stop taking eventually. And I know this won't replace it, but I want to, have a nice transition from one to the other.
Absolutely. And, really what we're going to do is I'm going to hopefully really empower you with a lot of information and education that you can then take into that conversation. And just like you mentioned earlier, you decided to stop taking CBD whenever you started IVF, with the idea that that's a very delicate, medication prescription that they were given to you. And we wouldn't want to mess that up in any way, shape, or form. So again, your doctor, you guys can have that convo, but you'll get this email from me afterwards. It'll have a lot of information that you can take into that conversation. Okay, so thank you for kind of outlining for me your background with CBD. The products that you have to use now, it looks like we've got soft gels, daily drops, and rapid calming melts that you can use. So I'd like to kind of talk you through how each one of those products work. But before I do, one thing that's super helpful for me, and I know that you haven't started your CBD routine back yet. This is really kind of like that initial phone call to help you kind of like get on the right foot starting that again. So I imagine we'll need to check back in because we might need to adjust this here in a week or two. But one thing that will help me with my recommendations is for you to really kind of like walk me through your average day to day. I know it's very different day to day, but some members will tell me, Autumn, whenever I wake up in the morning, before I even open my eyes, I'm going through my list in my head and all the things that I have to do. And I'm like stressed before I open my eyes. And then I have other people who tell me my mornings are slow, they're easy. I love my mornings, but the stress builds and builds and builds. And then I can't sleep overnight. So from your perspective, as detailed as you want, just kind of give me like the rundown of what your day is like and maybe like when you eat your meals and stuff.
Yeah. Let's see. So my son wakes up around 6 a.m. every morning. So I'm usually up with him. Although my husband is a wonderful partner and we switch off mornings. So one of us gets an extra hour every morning, depending on who put him to bed the night before. It's great. But usually 7 o'clock, I wake up. I spend time with my son. I get his bottles and food ready for the day. I always like religiously have a cup of coffee. That is an absolute must. And then I send Ian off to, that's my son, Ian. I send him off to whomever is taking care of him that day, whether it's his grandma or my daycare down the street. And then I come back and I eat. Usually it's like one of those like egg white breakfast burritos or something like that, or peanut butter toast. I kind of rotate. I usually have another cup of coffee and then I work. And that's usually like 8 to 9 hours. I stop a few times. I wish I like went outside more but it's just so dang cold right now, so I don't really do that. But normally I'd like go for a midday walk or something with the dog, but it's been too cold. For lunch, I'll usually have, I honestly like very old school, like I do the same thing I did when I was in high school. I have like a deli meat sandwich. Like that's still what I do from taking my lunch in high school. I usually have like string cheese or some sort of snack in the afternoon. And then I pick up my son at 5 and we play for a couple hours. He goes down for bed. And then like at 7 o'clock, I finally get to talk to my husband for like the first time all day, it feels like. And I kind of get like 2 hours for me, really is, so that's kind of what I'm working with, which is a huge change for what I'm used to, of having like literally all the hours for me to maybe 2 hours for me. And so the like working out isn't happening like it used to. And the even like getting to the point where I sometimes put my makeup on or take a shower isn't happening like it used to. So yeah, which I mean, you don't even have to have a kid to go through that, but it's very, very different. So my routine, I'm like starting to settle into it, I think, now that my son is here, but I still long for those days of just, what do you want to do today? I don't know. What do you want to do? It's every day is very structured, which I think actually hopefully will be in line with having a routine with CBD because I already have way more structure than I've ever had in my life.
We can actually take advantage of that, Kelly. We can do what we call habit stacking. And, if you have that religious cup of coffee every morning, what can we pair with that so that you're not having to create a brand new moment for yourself each day, that we're just kind of like layering on to those special moments that you've already carved out for yourself. I do have one other question for you about your day, something that we haven't mentioned yet. With everything going on in the world in general, with everything happening in your personal life that's new, I want to know, are you sleeping okay with everything that's going on? Are you having any trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, both, neither? What's your sleep doing?
So I'm like, where's wood that I can knock on? Sleep is actually really great. I know it was not for like the last 6 months, but something about the last couple months has clicked where I'm getting sleep, my husband's getting sleep, the baby is getting sleep. So we are doing really well there. However, I'll probably reach out to you again at some point because that never stays the same with having a kid. I'm like, where's the next sleep regression?
Yeah, with phases of growing up, your phases of sleep will change.
Exactly. But as of right now, we're doing really well with sleep. I think I'm just so tired by the end of the day that like head hits the pillow. I don't even think about it. I'm out.
Okay. So before I kind of go over these products here, I think my question for you is, the $1 million question is, if you could pinpoint for me a specific time in this day, I have an assumption, but I want to know from you, maybe what's your peak moment of stress? Where do you need the most support for from your CBD routine?
I mean, probably like right before I settle into work.
Yeah. For your
only
work day.
because I'm like, I know there are Slack messages waiting. I know that people are going to start like needing things from me, and which is great. I love that. I love what I do, but it's still a fact. You're going to have to read all your emails and respond to everybody and kind of get settled in and caught up on top of the to-do list that that's looming right next to you. So yeah, right before I start work, I think so. And honestly, it's like I feel a little guilty admitting this as a parent, but like picking my son up from daycare, I get a little anxiety because it's like, okay, the kicking back into mom mode is about to happen, and once we get home, it's lovely, but it's like that last breath in the car before you go into daycare of like,
your last moment of you time before you have to carry yourself again.
Right. I gotta go turn the mom switch on. So, which you never really turn it off, let's be honest, but it goes into
you have to turn the volume up higher when it's that time. Yeah, I hear you.
Yep.
This is really, really helpful info, Kelly. Thank you for being so open and vulnerable with me. This is really going to help kind of like dial in a routine for you. We've got a lot of options. So just kind of like giving you a nice high level overview of the products that you have. Let me make sure I've got these right. We've got the daily drops, the daily gummies, and some rapid calming melts. And I totally hear you about the extra strength. It's entirely possible that you might be still an extra strength gal, but since you've had such a break from your CBD routine, we always want anyone who's new to CBD, has taken a break from CBD, to start going low and slow. One of the general concepts with CBD is that it takes time to compound in your body for us to see the best results. So I will always say to my members, do not fret if you start out with the wrong routine. In my mind, if you're taking it consistently and you're allowing it to build up in your body, even if it's not the exact right, perfect routine, we need it to build up. We need that time for it to build up anyway before we see the best results. So with that said, it's entirely possible we may end up with an extra strength routine over the next month. But to start, I'm really glad that you ordered the regular strength routine, and we can kind of like slowly start to build that back up for you. And then we're not wasting any product either.
Yep. Very true.
Yeah. So real quick, are there any specific questions or anything for me before I kind of like dive into these products really quickly? We haven't gone over too much.
I'd love to hear what you recommend first, and then I'm sure I'll have some like questions once we talk about each thing.
Totally. Well, just to kind of give you a little overview here, I want to talk about each one of the products, how quickly they kick in, and different strategies that our members use with these products. So when I think about the fastest onset to the more slow release onset, the rapid calming melts are going to be your fastest, quickest onset option. The daily drops following that very closely, and then you've got the daily gummies. So the biggest difference between the rapid calming melts and the daily drops is that the daily drops, because they're oil-based and just naturally take a little bit longer to absorb, they stay in your system longer, they're really meant for that baseline CBD routine. The drops are something that we want you to take every day, consistently. The rapid calming melts act more as a routine booster. And in fact, the calming melts are going to work even better if you have an established CBD baseline routine, because it kind of compounds and it needs that to work off of. So with that said, I'm going to talk about the rapid calming melts as kind of like episodic doses for like when you need it the most to kind of like boost what you already, all the CBD already in your system. And then the daily drops, I want to talk about like a regularly scheduled time to take those and your gummies. So with that said, the daily drops, I'm going to talk about those first, and I'll save the calming melts for the end. The daily drops, have you ever, let me ask this first, have you ever used any kind of sublingual products? Like sometimes vitamin D or other supplements will come where you actually put them underneath your tongue to absorb. Have you ever done that before taking CBD?
No, I've only done that with CBD, which like the first time I was like, so you just want me to put this under my tongue and hold it there and not do anything? Like it just is a very foreign concept to me. And like, you know, now that I know more about CBD, it makes sense. But I can always learn more about it though, about the why.
Yeah. Well, it's called sublingual absorption, sublingual meaning underneath the tongue. I mean, we've all explored and looked under our tongue and seen all those little bumps and vessels under there. Underneath your tongue is full of open glands and blood vessels and receptors, ECS receptors, the ECS, that system that helps us with balance we talked about earlier. Those receptors, your glands, your bloodstream, everything is underneath your tongue. So the idea here, if you can think about in your mind that the purpose of putting the oil underneath your tongue is to let it sit there so that it can absorb into your bloodstream and into those glands and into your receptors, and kind of visualize that and hold it there for as long as possible, because the longer it's under there, the more it's going to absorb. Some people, if they take their drops and they just straight up put them in their mouth and just swallow them, it's not to say that nothing's going to be helpful or beneficial from that dose, because you are swallowing it. That oil is going through your digestive system. It's getting absorbed somewhat, but it's really meant to go underneath the tongue for, you know, a minute or more. I always suggest, you know, as long as you can. Some people find that one full dropper, you are taking one full dropper of the extra strength prior.
Yeah.
And again, everyone, she built herself up to that. Please don't start with a full dropper of the extra strength. That's something that you want to work your way up to. But
start with that.
A full dropper of the regular 300 milligram strength product. For some people, it's just kind of a lot of oil to fit underneath your tongue all at one time. So a lot of people actually find that it's a little bit more comfortable, better absorption, better results by, you know, let's say, for example, with your coffee in the morning, hint, hint, that I want you to take a full dropper, perhaps taking half a dropper, just letting 1 full dropper of the regular is 10 milligrams. So just letting half of that sit under your tongue. It's a much smaller amount. It's much more comfortable. Maybe you do that before you start your cup of coffee. Have your cup of coffee, and then you take your second half of your dropper and hold that under there for as long as possible. Then you're really getting the most that you possibly can out of that full dropper dose. And because you put the drops under your tongue and they absorb that way, I really don't need you to take the drops with food necessarily. And so since you really like to start your morning with coffee and that is your ritual, let's habit stack. And perhaps maybe that's whenever you can take your first one full dropper of the day, a really lovely private moment for yourself before you greet the day, the family, everything. Take that moment for yourself, coffee and a full dropper. If we can start our day off on the right foot, I cannot tell you how many members will tell me that the rest of their day goes so much better. So that's my first thought. And then you mentioned that you always have breakfast. Sometimes it's with peanut butter and toast. You mentioned your snack with maybe like string cheese in the afternoon. I want to talk about the gummies. So the gummies and any kind of edibles, soft gels, CBD gummies, anything that you swallow, it's always a bonus if you can take those products with food. Not necessary perhaps, but again, kind of like a bonus. CBD, when paired with a healthy fat in a meal, can actually help the absorption. It can help your body to understand and read CBD and absorb it. So my thought is, with your daily gummy, of course you can take it whenever needed. It doesn't have to be paired with food, but this is where I kind of want to ask your thought here. I could see you taking that gummy either with breakfast or with your afternoon string cheese snack. Because if you took that with your afternoon string cheese snack, then that's going to kind of take, 30 minutes to an hour or so to really kick in. And then it's going to kind of absorb for the next 8 hours or so, kind of depending on your body, your metabolism. And that'll kind of go into the evening, into the afternoon. So I think really the question is, do we want to, kind of hit that afternoon area of your day, or do we really want to kind of front load the CBD and have like a full dropper in the morning with your coffee and then a gummy before work and really have that baseline routine kind of at the front part of your day? Any thoughts there?
That's a good question. I mean, I love that there's the option, first of all. I'll tell you what I prefer, but then I also have a question, if that's okay. So I kind of think the afternoon snack might be nice because, it's almost like something to look forward to as well, like a little bit later in the day.
Yes.
I kind of like the idea of that. But if I were having like a very stressful day, could I change that routine, or does it have to be the same every single day? Like if I were to do the drops with my coffee while my son's drinking his bottle, and then the drops with my the soft gel. Oh my gosh. What are we talking about?
Gummy. You're doing great.
The gummy with my breakfast.
Yeah.
Could I alternate, or does it have to be the same every day?
I am a huge proponent of experimenting and playing around a little bit. Right. Cannabis in general, and CBD does fall under the umbrella of a cannabis, really does require some experimentation and playing around with it a little bit. And the best experiences our members have are when they do have a little bit of fluidity and can play around with that a little bit. I'm guessing that you'll end up kind of preferring one or the other. With the idea of, we want you to stick with the routine so that it can compound. What I don't want to do is make it so loose that we end up kind of like not doing the routine very much. So what I would suggest is, for at least a week, play around with it. You might find, you know what, Autumn, I really, really liked the days when I took my gummies in the morning or the afternoon. And then this is kind of where those rapid calming melts come in. If you find a time where that gummy fits in really well, let's just go ahead and say that you're taking your gummy with your afternoon snack. Let's go ahead and lock it in there for all intents and purposes. Full dropper in the morning, gummy in the afternoon. If you are having a particularly stressful day, if you find that you're on your cycle and you are needing more support, this is where those rapid calming melts come in. The rapid calming melts, they're only 5 milligrams a piece. However, it's an incredibly powerful 5 milligrams because we have this really amazing patent pending technology that really helps that CBD. It's in a powder form. In the rapid calming melt, it goes underneath your tongue. Pro tip, if you take a sip of water before putting the rapid calming melt under your tongue, it helps to absorb a little bit better, helps to dissolve. But when you put it underneath your tongue, the CBD really binds to your receptors in a totally different way than the oil does. And it goes to work real quick, 10 minutes, sometimes faster, sometimes a little bit longer, but real quick. So if you are like, I am salty today and I need some help, I need a little bit of chill right now before I walk into this meeting and I cannot wait, that's a really great time to use a rapid calming melt. And they are so discreet. They look like a little mint. So even if you're in the middle of a meeting, a long meeting that takes a sharp turn in a different direction and you're not prepared for it, and you need a little support during your meeting, you could even take a little rapid calming melt to help kind of calm those waters down. And again, kind of experimenting and playing around with that. You might find you're like, I'm actually, I took your advice and I tried taking a rapid calming melt, but I'm actually taking one every morning. Then that might be an indication that we maybe need to add an extra gummy there, something more of a baseline routine adjustment there. And just to give you a little bit of context, Kelly, the average dosage that our members start out with is somewhere between 20 and 30 milligrams of CBD each day. With your regular strength products, one gummy is 10 milligrams, one full dropper is 10 milligrams, that's 20 milligrams. So with the idea that our average members start with between 20 and 30, you can always play around with that and add another gummy. Maybe it's a full dropper in the morning, a gummy with breakfast, and a gummy with your snack in the afternoon. And then we play around with adding that rapid calming melt whenever we need to. So with that said, you have enough product with your 30 count gummies and your one bottle of oil. You have enough product to take one gummy and one full dropper every day, 20 milligrams every day for 30 days. We've got that extra 5 milligram rapid calming melt we'll throw in whenever we need to. But what we can do is we can stay in touch. And if you have one of those instances where you're like, Autumn, I need my mornings covered. The afternoon's great. My full dropper is awesome, but like I need something in the in-between. Then that's maybe where we talk about bumping you up to a 30 milligram a day routine. And then maybe we talk about your extra strength and we eventually build you up. And just for folks understanding, Kellie had been taking one full dropper of the extra strength, which is 50 milligrams. So we always want people to kind of build themselves up to that, start out with that 20 to 30, at least for a month, and then talk to your dosage specialist and we'll always be able to help kind of like guide you what might be right for you. So with all of that said, Kellie, I've been talking at you for a minute here. Thoughts, questions, adjustments that you would like to make to that with the idea of one full dropper in the morning, gummy in the afternoon, and then maybe we play around with that rapid calming melt if needed.
I think that sounds great. That's kind of what I was gravitating towards. And I like the flexibility of the rapid calming melt, in those moments where I feel like I need it. My question to you is like, how do I know that it's working? Like, what should I expect? I mean, like, I think I remember what it felt like when I first started taking CBD, but but kind of it's like a distant memory. And like, I'm just curious, like, what should I look out for to like know if I need to build or if I need to pull back or, talk me through that.
Totally. CBD can be very tricky because I always tell my members with CBD, it's not about how it makes you feel. It's about what it makes you not feel. So for me, it's about walking into your messy house and not getting upset that it's messy. It's a simple sounding thing, but that is truly one of the leading indicators. Or your partner or your friends, family members, they might be the first ones to notice that things are changing for you. They might say, hey, you've been a lot more chill lately, or you just seem happier. CBD is so subtle because, again, it's not really inducing any feeling in people. What it's doing is it's helping to support the endocannabinoid system, the system in your body that knows how to read CBD, knows what to do with it, and uses it to help keep our body regulated and at homeostasis, and really to help keep those cortisol, adrenaline levels down. So, again, it's not about what you feel, it's about what you don't feel. And so for you, Kellie, one of the things that's the hardest to do here is kind of like having a moment of, self-reflection and kind of saying to yourself, what are the behaviors that I'm exhibiting? What are the moments of stress? When I have a thought going over and over in my head, that's something that I would like to see decrease. So like kind of coming up with that list for yourself, what are the things in me that's causing me to buy this product and hop on the phone with someone. So kind of like almost writing those things down and kind of like having a moment where you think about that. And then if you're able to talk to your dosage specialist about that, like, Autumn, before I even open my eyes in the morning, my alarm clock goes off and I'm just already going with my list. When people tell me that, I want to say, one of the first signs for me that this is helping you is that moment will happen less and less and hopefully stop. I want you to be able to wake up in the morning, clean slate without that, does that make sense? Does that help?
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I think like with some of the postpartum stuff that I was dealing with, like the, thinking the thing over and over again that you don't want to think, like stuff like that. Like when that now that that has stopped and almost decreased and almost stopped for me, like I get that, but the house one is really resonating. I've never heard that resonates, because I walk into my house when I'm like, oh my gosh, when is this ever gonna like look the way that I want it to? And when is anything gonna be put in my house? A disaster zone. We moved and everything's still everywhere. And then the holidays, and why do kids need so much crap? But everywhere. But
I need more and more as he gets bigger.
Oh,
well, and again, that kind of like goes back to that whole, you are truly not alone in this, Kellie. Like I use that example because it resonates with so many of our members. So it's like, you walk into the house, you see a messy kitchen, and it's kind of like water off a duck's back. You're like, we'll get to it tomorrow. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
What it doesn't do whenever you walk into your messy kitchen, what it doesn't do is it doesn't trigger that fight or flight. That, oh my gosh, there's an emergency in my kitchen and I have to fix it. I can't believe it's not fixed. Like that noise in your head, I want that to quiet. That for me will be a sign that we're kind of going in the right direction with your routine.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't want that to be going off in my head, because I want to be worrying about like spending time with my husband and my son and like enjoying the moments and like
you want to be present.
Yeah, being in them. So, well, and I mean, I loved having a CBD routine before all of this. But now I'm like, oh my God, I need this so bad. So I'm so appreciative of you walking me through all of this, because I'm very excited. I'm literally like, I can't wait to like go to bed and wake up and like know what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. I just like needed this direction. And it's funny because like I almost like I do this, I work here all day, but I still needed this experience.
Everyone needs support, and the Dosage team is really trained to help coach our members, because really what we want is for our members to not need us. We want to be able to empower everyone with the tools that they need to understand their dosage and understand what they need to adjust. We are always here to help support and be, a sounding board for your thoughts and for your needs. But that's really what we're here for, is to help kind of like advise on that. And really the best thing you can do, Kellie, is to kind of like play around and experiment. And because you had a higher dosage before, you might find, hey, Autumn, since we last talked, I have been taking 2 gummies a day and a full dropper, or 2 full droppers a day and 1 gummy. We'll kind of play around with it. I'll give you some options in your email so that you can kind of know what to play around with. But we'll stay in touch. And if we need to adjust your products, if we need to adjust the routine, we can keep up on that. While I have you here, I just want to open up the floor. Is there anything else or any other curiosities or anything in general that you wanted to talk about with CBD, or anything I can help you with beyond this routine?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm really glad that I can email you, and I mean, I was nowhere to find you, but now I have a very specific selfish reason of but yeah, I'm excited to start, see how it goes, look out for some of those like key moments of like evolution and change. And I think after a couple weeks we'll know how we're doing, and I'll check in with you and we'll see what's going on.
Awesome. Well, what I will do is on my end, I'll get this email written up for you. I will recap your dosage routine for you again, with the milligrams and the timing, so that you have all of that at your fingertips. One thing that you could do to kind of help guide your own journey on this is to journal. We always encourage our members to journal, even if it's a notepad next to your bed and it's like, had a great day, or improvement from yesterday, or skipped my dose today. And then that way you can have a more informed conversation with your dosage specialist. Like, hey, I really only adhered to my routine like half the week, and I really don't know how it feels. And I might say, you know what, let's give it another week. Or are there adjustments that we need to make so that this routine fits into your day better? Because really what I want to do, I don't want to make your day more complicated. I want to make it a little bit better. So, having those open dialogue conversations with a dosage specialist, there's just so much to talk about and so much to learn. So Well, with that, Kelly, what I'll do is I'll get this all set up for you. You'll hear from me. And if it's okay, I'm going to go ahead and check in on you in a week. I'm going to send you another follow-up email just to like check in and see how it's going in case you perhaps, get busy with your life and forget to message me. I won't forget. I'll message you. And then we can just kind of stay in touch from there and make sure that you're taken care of every step of the way.
Yeah, that sounds great. I look forward to it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And really, that concludes our dosage call. I think that was a pretty good example of how a lot of these calls really do go. It's a lot of conversation. It's a lot of collaboration. I see, I'm going to take a quick look. I've got a couple questions sent in to me here that I just wanted to touch base on really quickly. One of them here that I see in the chat is, whether or not our products expire, if they have expiration dates. Because of the ingredients that are added into the products, they have about a 2-year shelf life if you keep them in a cool, dry place. Each product, they might have different lifespans. Product to product, our daily gummies have a slightly different lifespan, but in general, it's about 2 years that CBD can kind of withhold its properties. So keeping those in a cool, dry place is always what you want to do there. One final note that I wanted to add in here is specifically because Kellie came to us after having had a baby, after finishing breastfeeding. In general, Equilibria, we have this stance that in general, there's just not enough data one way or the other to tell us whether or not we should support pregnancy and breastfeeding while taking CBD or other cannabis. There's just not enough research. Women and children are the last, pregnant women, pregnant people and children are the very last group to be studied in any area, let alone this very niche, full spectrum, high quality CBD area. So unfortunately, because we don't have enough data to back something up one way or the other, we really just don't have a stance with that. We really do want you to have a conversation with your healthcare professional about whether or not adding CBD into your routine is the right route for you. And whatever that decision is, your dosage specialist is here to help support that. And then best routine for helping to sleep at night. That's a really great question. And it's a really unique person to person question. What I will say is that the tools that we have, because, for example, the rapid calming melts, we talked about how quickly they go to work. Some people will use those calming melts to help them wind down really quickly before bed, or if they just wake up in the middle of the night, sometimes that can be very helpful to help you wind back down. But in general, for a baseline routine, a lot of members that have trouble falling asleep find that taking their daily drops, whatever their dosage is, a half dropper, full dropper, 1.5 droppers, whatever that is for them, right within like an hour, 30 minutes of bedtime. And if they have trouble staying asleep through the night, a soft gel or a gummy, a more slow release option can be really great right around bedtime. And some people that have problems with falling and staying asleep will combine the two methods. We lovingly call that a 1-2 punch routine, where you take your drops before bed and your soft gel or gummy to help kind of fall asleep and stay asleep throughout the night. You can always play around with that, experiment with it, take some notes, call a dosage specialist, kind of they'll help you analyze what's working and what's not. So that would probably be one of my best pieces of advice there. We're going to go with just a couple other questions here. Generally speaking, is a soft gel or a dropper better in the morning? That's a fantastic question, Julie. So if, like Kellie, if you're not going to have your breakfast until a little bit later in the morning and you really need support first thing before you eat, I might recommend your drops. The drops, compared to the soft gels, the drops, because they're sublingual and they're being absorbed right into your bloodstream, they hit you a little harder, a little faster. For someone who says, I have an incredibly stressful job every morning at 9 a.m. I have a stressful meeting I don't want to go to. That person might need a little bit stronger support. They might need 1 full dropper in the morning before that meeting. For someone else who's like, you know what, I have, work is stressful. It's not my favorite. I would love just some kind of like background overall support, just kind of like throughout my whole day. A soft gel with breakfast, with a food with food that has some sort of healthy fat like peanut butter, cheese, avocado, nuts, that might actually help that soft gel work better. And then that soft gel can slowly release throughout the day. And some people who have both issues might like to also do a 1-2 punch, a full dropper before work and a soft gel with breakfast so that they can kind of have that harder hitting dose before they step into work, and then a slower releasing dose to support them throughout the rest of the day. That's a really great question. Really great question, Julie. I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions here. How does it help with physical pain? So here's one thing that I will say. CBD has been absolutely shown, especially with our members. So many of our members are telling us that it really helps to alleviate some of that physical discomfort because it's really working with the endocannabinoid system, that system that helps your body stay at homeostasis. So some people who might have, for example, perhaps a buildup of cortisol that is causing that issue, CBD is helping to kind of repair and support that system. So if your ECS is functioning properly, a lot of those issues, a lot of the symptoms, a lot of physical discomfort, the stress, things like that, sleep issues, some of that tends to kind of slowly, I don't want to say fix, but just kind of adjust. And we're looking for everything to go back to square one here. And so especially when we're talking about physical discomfort, one thing I really want to point these members to is an internal and ingested product like a daily dropper or a soft gel. That's a really great option to kind of help support the ECS from the inside out, those more systemic issues, especially if it's something that's perhaps autoimmune, long-term. Internal CBD is a really great route, in addition to perhaps a topical product like our Relief Balm. Y'all, the Relief Balm is amazing. It is out of this world. Please, Kellie.
Legit, it's no joke. Like, it's no joke. Yeah. I use it on almost every bendy part of my body.
Well, and particularly the members who tell me they have trouble with sleeping, one of my routines is that I will put this on my lower back before bedtime, because when I wake up in the morning, that is what's achy and crunchy feeling in my shoulders. So I'll put it on before night, and oh my gosh, it just like helps me wake up feeling a little bit more refreshed and a little bit more at that square one point. And then Kaz is asking about drinking water with CBD. And again, CBD kind of falls under that general cannabis umbrella, and cannabis CBD in general is dehydrating. So adding water, increasing your water intake whenever you start a CBD routine can be really, really helpful to alleviate, fatigue, just general dehydration, I would say. Kellie, were you going to add anything there? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't even think I knew that. Yeah. So that was like, I've learned a lot, but that is a one that I for sure didn't know. And yeah, I'm really bad at drinking water. So I'm going to have to be better about that with this new routine, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Autumn. One of our dosage specialists is listening in on this call and sent me the information for our nutritional information for the person who asked about carbohydrates.
Christy, yeah.
Yes, may I share that information?
Please do. Thank you so much.
So the daily gummies have 10 calories, 0 calories from saturated fat, and 2 grams of added sugars, which could be considered carbohydrates, 0 grams of fat, and 0 protein. Our daily soft gels have 3.83 calories, 0.47 grams of fat, 0 grams of carbohydrates, and 0 grams of protein. And then 1 dropper of the daily drops contains 7.67 calories, 0.93 grams of fat, 0 grams of carbohydrates, and 0 grams of protein. I hope that helps. And if you want those details emailed to you, again, Autumn's email still stands. We can send a dosage at myeq.com and you can have those details sent to you.
Awesome. Well, I just want to thank everybody so much for being here tonight. And Kellie, particularly, I want to thank you. This is a very helpful tool for our members to kind of demystify this call process and to help them prepare for their own calls. So thank you so much for taking the time tonight.
Oh, honestly, Autumn, thank you so much. Because I know that I work here, but I honestly desperately needed this. And this was, I'm just excited for the night's sleep that I get to have tonight. and wake up and start their routine in the morning. I'm just genuinely jazzed. Thank you so much.
What I'm going to do, Kelly, is I'm going to send you an email again to kind of recap everything. We'll use that to kind of keep all of your dosage journey in one place. But if you have any questions that pop up between now and our check-in, you could always reach out to your dosage specialist me whenever you need. Okay.
Amazing. And thank you everyone for listening to everything that's going on with me. It was nice to share this experience with the group.
Well, Kelly, you're not alone. Our members are not alone. We're all here for each other. And that's really what this community is about. So Amanda, if there's anything else, we can cover that. But otherwise, I think we're all set here. Awesome.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a great night.